Okay, we're back again with our Flourishes stamp. We've colored in those beautiful blooms from the Humming Along stamp set that has a beautiful hummingbird. Now we're going to look at what colors work best for coloring the foliage. Now I'm going to pick some colors from prior month's sets, and I'm going to work with G28 as my dark, YG67 is my middle color, and YG63 is my light. It makes kind of a mossy kind of color. I think it plays off nicely with the pink. It tones it down a little bit. And let's start with this leaf section right here. And once again, look that Flourishes has put this where to put your darkest colors in, okay? And it makes sense because the veining of the leaf is going to be the darkest because there's an indentation there. And I'm going to go ahead and color a few at the same time, because they're not that big of areas and I have a lot of time to get back before they dry out. Oops, I'll do this one too. So the darkest area is in the veining, and because this is an overhead light source, this leaf pattern is pretty much in direct sunlight. So the darkest area is going to be the veining. You're not going to have a whole lot of shadowing because there's nothing shadowing over it. There's no other flowers there. And that's the one thing you have to look at when you are coloring leaves, is what other things are shadowing the leaves, because very often there's going to be flowers shadowing the leaves. Okay. And the only one that has a little bit of shadowing is this one right here. Now we're going to go in with the YG63 and we're going to blend into those darker colors, the dark and the medium. And I'm going to reserve the white, and I'll come back to that later. Just want to make sure I have a good blend. The nice thing too is that these areas are nice and small. You can color more of them at the same time. You can get a feeling for what your image is going to look like much quicker. I'm going to go in with this to reserve the white. I'm going to go in and I'm going to color out, just keeping the darkest. It's kind of a reverse feather stroke there. Okay. Reserve the white. And that's going to make sure that that area is the lightest. There we go. So again, you're just going to use a very tip of your marker. Now if I want to add more highlight to these leaves, I could do that. I could do that in several different ways. One way, I could go ahead and grab my colorless blender. Let me boo-boo that one out the line there anyway. And I could add a little bit of a highlight here. And the colorless blender takes off the marker. I can make it a little lighter with that. Okay. The other thing I could do is I could get my opaque pen from Essentials, and Patty carries these in her store, the PaperManiac store, and I would be lost without mine. And you can use it to give a little bit of a highlight. Now I would do it on the other side of the veining, just a little bit of a to add a little bit of a highlight. You can pick all different colors for your leaves and your vines here, but remember that they need to correspond nicely in color with your flower. Now let's look at these little, and I have no technical term for what these are. They look like little hats to me, little flower hats on the bottom here. And once again, that's in. Okay. And these are basically cylindrical in shape. All of these things are. So we're going to color with the darker more to the outside and the lighter more to the inside. So G28 going on with the YG67. Followed by the YG63. Reserving the white, go very lightly over that light color. So I have a little bit of a highlight in the middle there. Now, let's look at one of these other leaves, and let's pay attention that you see this flower is really covering up these leaves here and the stem. And the stem has been covered up so much it's almost black. In a case like that, I would use a very, very light amount of my dark, and I might skip all the way out until my very lightest because there's not enough room on this stem to put all the different colors. And the thing that you're going to notice is the dark brings out the light, so it's nice to have that in there. And let's look at this leaf here too, this one underneath, and you can tell there's very heavy shading right here because it's dark. Maybe a little bit more here. Okay, and then the veining. We go in with our medium color, the YG67. Now, it would be very easy to make this look like a big blob. There's a lot of dark on it, but I'm really going to reserve my white areas here. I'm going to blend in, paying particular attention. There we go. Now I'm going to go back over those white areas, keeping in for a highlight. Okay. So what we looked at this month was coloring flowers and coloring leaves or foliage. Some tips. Pay attention to where the blooms or the leaves are shaded by other things in your stamping. Okay? Sometimes a leaf will shade a flower will shade a leaf, or there'll be an animal like a bird or an insect in there that will shade everything else. Good place to start is with these flourishes markers because they allow you to just go ahead and just color without all the stress of where your light source is. They add it in already by these little cross hatches that they use to show where the darkest and lightest colors go. The other thing, just to kind of contemplate, is that these are cylinders. These are basically cylinders, these leaves, these blooms. And they also follow that rule. A cylinder rule is that the color is darkest on the outsides and lightest towards the insides because it will make it look more cylindrical. If you follow that rule, if you follow the marking on the stamps, you get a very 3D, they almost look like the Victorian print kind of stamp. They're fantastic. They're great with so many different papers nowadays, and they're very elegant and classic and classy. So thanks for joining me for the month of August for the Paper Maniac Copic Color Club, and I'll talk to you again in September. Thank you.